First of all, I'm not a professional photographer, and these dogs like to be right where I am. So go lay down. There's where Dean lays sometimes, or sits. So now we're looking at base plates. So I am not a Lego purist. I'm not doing this because I love Legos. I'm doing this because I love Disneyland, and I'm not very artistic, so the only thing I can do is put Legos together. And so Lego also has the Disneyland themed sets, so it's just easier for me to do it this way. The other thing is, though, like, I use 3 different types of block. I do use real Lego, which are more expensive. I do use dollar store Lego, which I recently went to visit my sister Edie and her family and my friend Gail, and I bought this stack. I bought all of these, and I bought all of this on the recent visit. So I do get dollar store Lego. And then the other thing I do, I have a 3D printer, so I've been printing my own. And so this is an example. It's not too bad. It does fit. It does work. Sometimes it's slightly loose, but yeah, it does good enough for what I need. And then here's all of the base plates that I've had previously. So another thing you can tell with the base plates that I print is they're not as big. So the dimensions are a little off, but the ones that I buy at the dollar store are the right fit. They're basically a perfect fit. So, yeah. So that's the medium of my art that I use. Can't have enough of these, so I'm constantly making trips to the dollar store to find more of those. And then people, I haven't reached the max capacity of people in the park, so we'll be able to continue adding more individuals, especially since here's where we start thinking about design. Previously, I only had enough base plates to reach a certain amount of the table space. So there was a lot of green table space left over, which is why I have this green forest looking cloth over the table, because I wanted it to fill in the gaps where I didn't have base plate and make it look greener. It just looked unfinished that way. So now my hope is, or my thought is, could I fill every centimeter of the table with base plate? I don't know. I don't know if I have enough yet. Also, because this is different size, it may not work, but I need to define my base plate. So that'll be the first thing that I do. Now, the other thing that I've done is I've used ChatGPT to help me think through this design. And it's okay, but I haven't given it all of the information, so it keeps making suggestions for me that aren't going to work. And I need to give it more information as I get deeper into this, because it doesn't know I've 3D printed these plates and they're not the same size. It doesn't know that I've bought all of these dollar store or Dollar Tree bricks. Yeah, so I've got to let it know. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to calculate the cost of this. It will just be an estimate, because all of this stuff I've bought over the years trying to build this Disneyland thing. And here's part of the castle, which I've dropped on occasion. So I'm trying to be very careful with that. And then I have a lot of miscellaneous, like I don't know how much I've actually spent. So I'm just going to give a rough estimate. But I know what I've spent this weekend, so I can add that to the list. And we'll get a good idea of what Lego Disneyland costs, at least my version. So I've got Kalmar here, who's a heavy breather, helping me with measuring this. So let's take a step back and think about this. What I have here are 4 10-inch plates. The 10-inch plates are 32 studs, squares. And then I've got another 4 of those 10-inch 32 stud plates. In the middle, I have a 16 stud plate. So it's 5 inches. So this is 85 inches, which is 7 foot 1 inch. And previously, I measured the table, and the table was 7 inches. Sorry, 7 feet. So I've got an overhang here of a little bit on both sides. Trying to make it even. So my dilemma is, if I want the table to be completely covered, is that going to be a problem? What's going to be on the edge is the train track. So the train will be on the track. The train moves around the track. If everything is connected properly, I don't think it'll be a problem. The nice thing is, it would give me more space within the park area than I had previously. The downfall is it's more bumpable. But if everything's connected, is that a problem? Track-wise, I don't think it's an issue. Because it's going to be connected. One thing though, here's the track. Let's get an example track here. Let's say the track's on the edge here, like this. My thought was, and there's going to be a curve, so, but on the straight track, or maybe we do it over here where there's the overhang. So I've got this part overhanging as well. It's somewhat solid. The other problem. I have pieces that I purchased online that are going to be, my little scent device is going off. Let's get a whiff of that. Yeah. That's a Magic Candle Company. I don't forget what flavor that is, but it's not the one I wanted. Sorry. Arturo says I either have ADHD or, what's he call it? ADHD? No. Autism. I don't think that's right. I get distracted easily is all. I have little pieces that I've purchased to put along the side of the track that is going to be where I put the light strip that ChatGPT had me buy. So I've got this light strip here connected to this controller, which does allow me to do more with this than just like the cheap LED strips from Walmart. So that's supposed to go around the entire perimeter of Disneyland, and that's going to stick out even more. I don't have an example plate. It's a 4x4 plate. Oh, Kalmar, you're over here now. Okay. So imagine this sticking out. Ugh. Wait, there. I really don't like that. It does mean things will stick out, I think, way too much on both sides. Unless I put the track in. But then I'm losing this entire strip of space all the way around. It's not very usable. Well, you couldn't put a building on the edge, but I wouldn't put a building on the edge anyway if it's hanging off the side. Yeah. Let's think about the track. But for now, we're not going to be ready for track for a while, but I need to know where the track's going to know about the base. So now you can kind of see the parts coming together. I do have a big gap, 5 plates here that are needed with this layout. So if you think about, this is where the train station goes. Well, there will be track, then the train station, then Main Street. I'm guessing that Main Street is going to be 2 plates. The track and train station really fit on 1. The castle, if you picture those 2 white plates being the castle area. In the back, that bright green area is Toontown, Fantasyland. Should be behind the castle, so Toontown might have to go a different pattern. The blue spot is the Finding Nemo ride area. That needs to be moved. But anyway, that's the general idea. Brown, black Spire Outpost, Star Wars area. This area, Tomorrowland, Adventureland, etc. So I don't have enough plates if this is the layout I'm going to do. But it just dawned on me, I have my 3D printed plates. which are not 10-inch, not 32 stud. They are smaller by about 4 studs. I have no idea what 4 studs equals in measurement, but let me rethink this, because if I had a row of these on one side, that might solve my problem. So I think that solved my problem. So this entire row here are the 3D printed base plates, which are 28 stud squares, whereas these are 32. However, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those is the same as 7 of the 32s. And there's only a slight bit of overhang here on this side and on that side. Once everything's connected better, I can slide it just slightly so that it's overhangs pretty evenly. However, the colors don't really matter on the side either, because this is the base layer. There are going to be these kind of blocks across the entire thing, which gives me the foundation for the next layer. And the reason I want that second layer is because in the prior version, I had the cables, or not really cables, but these little wires here. You can see that's one of the Lego lights, this string here showing. And then on the USB LED lights, which are somewhere over here, they just were laying on top of the table. So the wires were visible. What I want is to put those wires underneath the first layer, or the top layer. And that's why I want the gap, the 1 block gap. So, and the reason for the base layer is just to provide it stability. Like, if this is all connected together well, the bumping should kind of minimize the effect on the other bricks sitting on top of it. So I'm going to put these cheapies as all underneath there. So I think this will work. I'm excited about this. We've come to a design. We have enough plates. Now we can move to the next phase, which is blocking this all together, and starting to think about our second layer.